Your Kansas City Chiefs did it despite everything. The number 1 seed is theirs. They earned it. Let's not talk about anything different. We are going to talk about how they got there tonight. We're going to talk about everything that happened around Damar Hamlin and the effects that he had, good and concerning for what's going to happen in the playoffs. But this team went out, played their best game of the season in terms of being every phase contributing to the win. Maybe they executed a couple of things better against the Niners or somewhere else, but this was the game that we've been waiting for. I know Dan's excited. I know I am, and I know you are. So click the like, click the sub, get into it, because we're going to hit all of our notes tonight. This is The Breakdown. He's Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. I got to point the right way. Sometimes that doesn't go so well for me. Right? It's over there. A lot to like about this. And in the end, they left no doubt. And I think that's honestly the big takeaway for me. We have a bunch here, but it is the complete game and the message to the league that, hey, if you really thought that this whole thing wasn't going to work out and Patrick wasn't going to lead the league in yards, and oh yeah, we missed Tyreek so much, guess what? That stuff is over. And that's the thing that I'm excited about, because this put out like a radar ping to the entire league.
That's all it is, man. They've been playing I won't say bad football. They've been playing some mediocre football over the last maybe 2 months of the season. And it really felt like cruise control.
I can understand it if it's cruise control. For me, happen to think that that's exactly what happens. That sometimes they just get stuck in that mode, and they can come back. They can get things done. Looks like Dan's back. I didn't mean to like overtake your thought, but hey.
No, I've completely lost my connection. Like it was gone.
Dang. It's always interweb for us. You know, it is what it is. Like mine's going to drop out here in about 30 seconds anyway, now that we said that.
Yeah, right. Good Lord. But yeah, the train of thought is just this was the most complete game they played in 2 months, bar none. Easy. And it wasn't even close. And they felt like, you know, the last thing that I talked about in the pregame or the game plan was this is a business trip. They treated this game like a business trip. Lock up the 1 seed, leave no doubt. Boom, they did. They left zero doubt about this team right now going into the postseason on a really high note offensively and defensively.
Yeah. We have a super chat from Thomas that unfortunately must have come in before we started the stream because I can't put it on screen. But Thomas Passwater, thank you for your support. You, folks, if you want to help the channel and help us continue to give you our breakdowns all the time, you can support us with the super chats here in the live streams. You can join the memberships. You can hit the store for any of the Rogue Nation gear that you might like. And Thomas gave us 20. Appreciate the 20 spot, buddy. Is this the Chiefs of the playoffs? And that's, I think, what connects into this. Complete game, message to the league, and oh yeah, we're all tuned up. All 3 running backs scored. You got everybody catching passes. Patrick threw one iffy, could have been intercepted pass, but other than that, didn't make a lot of mistakes. Like this is the team that has to show up in the playoffs, right?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt in my mind. And you guys remember last week I talked about in my film room video about how the deep shots were there. They were all there, and that's why they took them. They were trying to get them on the same page. They hit a couple of the deep shots. They kept going at it in this game. And that's the really nice thing is that those are going to be there. They're still going to be there. The way that they're operating the quick game right now, it's opening up the middle and the deep parts of the field. And that's exactly what the Chiefs want to get to eventually. The chemistry still isn't all the way there. And I really just, I'm kind of frustrated still with MVS and his inability to go get a football every now and then.
If he just extends.
Just something.
That's all I'm saying.
Just do something. Just do something instead of waiting for the ball to get there. But regardless, they're there, and they're going to keep going at these deep shots because the quick game's there. It's going to be there all week, all game, no matter who it is. So this is the team that has to show up, and I think that this is the team that they want to have to show up, and that's why they did in this game to show everybody, hey, guess what? We can still kind of execute whenever we feel like we have to. And I think that's the big thing.
Agreed. Thank you, Thomas, for the support. Again, just wanted to say that. Peter, thank you for the chat there on Twitter today. We're having a good time. It's always a good time. Stikes, thank you. 14-3. Yeah, that's a pretty good year, right? The defense did look improved. We'll talk about Trent McDuffie. Some people have some pluses, some people have some minuses. We'll talk about him later in the show. It's time to rest and give everybody a playoff run, and they should. They'll be in tomorrow for treatment. They'll probably be off until Thursday afternoon at this point. That's something similar to what Andy's done in the past. So that's a great rest for everybody that is hurting. Although Snead played, Tooney played, I think there's some big pluses there. But we're looking at getting both Sky Moore and McCole Hardman back on top of what Tony did today. We're going to talk a ton about Tony tonight.
Oh, yes, we are.
It's going to be crazy. But I want to start with this one. This should be, if I can do it right, I want to make sure that I take the comment down, because this is what I want to start talking about right now. This guy. And we should still be able to see this. This little merry-go-round, Patrick called it snow globe. And the snow globe is crazy. It's just incredible to me, because it's not just the huddle. The play was crazy.
Yes.
And that's what's really intriguing to me. You see Orlando Brown there being a little bit. I'm going to show you guys one more time. Just round and round we go, shaking up the snow globe.
Oh, man.
And look at the defense. They're just kind of like, what's going on here? Okay, I got a guy. I'm going to go line up on it. But what's going ba? And the ball snapped. I think that's part of it. From what we understand, the players came up with this little huddle maneuver. Then it was on top of the play. So that's really what it comes back to be. And that's what I want to ask you about. The players came up with something fun, much like they did in the Super Bowl. But putting this on tape now, this is not just having a fun Week 18. This is strategic, and it served a purpose. What did it serve for you?
How many different alignments can they come in out of that? Okay. Not only can you come out because you get to the huddle, you get the play ready, and then you do the circle. Guess what? They're going to try to quick snap them too. They're going to try to go up there and make a defense confused. So you have to be prepared for, if you see guys spinning around, okay, you got to get in your spots now. You have to know. And guess what? 9 times out of 10, somebody's probably going to be in the wrong spot. And that's what this was about. This was about setting up. You have to, I can't even really. Defensive coordinators were throwing things at the TV when they saw this. I promise you, this is a headache. You have to prepare for, maybe Kadarius Toney is going to be the quarterback. Maybe Sky Moore is going to come out there. Maybe McCole Hart. You don't know what's going to happen. You have no idea. They had Patrick as the back and Travis Kelce and Kadarius Toney in the backfield with Jerick McKinnon being the quarterback. Maybe it's Kadarius at the cornerback because, he can throw the football too. By the way, Sky Moore, ex-quarterback, McCole Hardman, ex-quarterback. It doesn't matter. Any of these guys could line up and take the snap, and then it could be anybody behind them. Like, that's nuts. It's nuts. And they're so mad.
Right here, just watch how Tony splits out, but he goes around to the right.
And he gets a play action fake.
Exactly. and it's almost a T backfield there with Kels back there too. That's the part of this play that we totally disrupt. If you go back, and I'll probably break this play down this week, just because we're going to have some extra time, and I'll do a little bit of film. There's so many variations that come off of this. And like you said, it just takes one guy being misaligned because he doesn't know what's coming, that it just sets it up. I'll tell you what. Let's see. When does everybody play tomorrow? Bills are early and Bengals are late. Is that right? No, they're both early. So in the NFL, most teams are kind of watching what happens the day before them in these split weekends, right? I guarantee you the players are like, what is that, right? The defenses of both those teams are concerned. The defensive coordinators are too. It's not those guys right now that are knee-deep in it, though. It's the interns. It's the quality control defensive coaches right now. They're poring over this film going, what in the hell are we going to do with this?
Just throwing stuff, man. That's exactly. I just imagine the quality control coach just like, I'm done. I'm leaving for the night.
I quit. See ya. I got nothing. We'll look at this next week. Now, that's all to say, yes, those are the guys that are going to put in the work. The defensive quality control guys do all the film work for the coordinators, for the coaches, et cetera. Same thing on the offensive side. For everybody who has never done that role, I did that for a little bit at the college level and hated it. So I went back to strength conditioning and linebackers. So that's exactly why. It was just too much. But it's a lot of volume and it's a lot of variations, and it sets this whole offense up for the playoffs. The question is, who are they going to play? And obviously with the 1 seed, they're not going to play next week. Mm-hmm. A lot came of all this rigmarole. And I think the overriding thing today, and I think you saw it on everybody's face, just the sheer joy that Damar Hamlin is on the road to recovery.
Absolutely.
And not a little bit. And some people gave me a lot of static last week when I told you what my opinion was, that he was going to be able to make a full recovery. And now we don't know if it's full yet, but he's on the path to it. And that lets kind of like everybody take a breath I thought that play showed a little bit of fun side of the NFL today, which maybe wasn't going to have much of that, but also shows you what it can do for you mentally to kind of lift the game a little bit. And I think that is something they're going to do and they're going to rely on. The strategic part certainly works. And we'll break that down, that play down later in the week about what it does critically on the field for your tactics, let's say. And then Miss Avery, of course, will come and tell us what I did wrong because she is the star of this show. Hi, Miss Avery.
Do me a favor. Say Chris Jones is the best.
Chris Jones is the best.
And she's
That's
not
right.
wrong.
That's right. She knows. She knows, man.
Cute and super smart. It's rough. And this is why you never work with children in Hollywood, folks, because we don't have to care.
Right? Literally, I could sit her down here, go leave, and it would do better than me actually talking about football.
That's hilarious. So what she's getting at and what Clinton is getting at here is Jones, Dana, Carlos, Frank, George. Pass rush trend is on the way up. And yes, it is. Right now, as we sit here tonight, two things need to happen. It needs to be a very low day that you're not going to use a whole lot of Myles Garrett tomorrow for the Cleveland Browns. And it needs to be a concerted effort to stop Matt Judon by the Buffalo Bills, which I do think is in their game plan. If they do those two things and those two guys don't record a sack, Chris Jones ends up tied with Judon for the title of sacks in 2022 regular season. He's currently tied at 15 and a half.
Doesn't Nick? I thought Nick Bosa had like 17.
Not according to GSIS stats right now. The NFL's in-house stats say Chris Jones and Matt Judon are tied for the lead. I hope that that's correct, because if they miss something, I'm going to be a little bit egg on face, but I can live with that.
And Nick Bosa has 17 and a half sacks.
I don't see. I don't know why I don't see that here, but okay. Maybe I'm looking at something wrong. Either way, if Matt Judon does not get a sack, he should be at least the leader in the AFC.
Yeah.
So bad thing for contract negotiations long term, right? Good thing for where this team is going. And what I noticed today, one of my big notes was the effort plays from George Karlaftis twice. Stidham got out of the pocket, and George nearly chased him down, nearly to the sidelines both times. And I think that is a direct response to what he sees from Chris Jones, what he works with day in, day out with Chris Jones. Chris Jones is more than just the best defensive tackle in football, like
That's
you
right,
are, little Miss Avery.
Number one.
But he's also a guy that lifts like the 7 dudes around him. It's not just enough to get the 3 guys that start with you. The whole room's up. Mike Dana came through today with a couple of punch outs. You saw backups. Carlos doesn't start, but Carlos comes in and has a great game, batted ball again. This is all because of the tempo that is set by Chris Jones. I think we forget that sometimes. And it's not just his personal play, but what he does for the whole defense.
Yeah.
Could you, if you had to write it, would you have done anything different about what they did today with early safety blitzes and then letting Chris kind of take over down the stretch?
I wouldn't have just put my foot off the gas defensively. And that's because I don't like putting my defense in soft zone. I just don't like just sitting in soft zone. That's just my own opinion. I understand you don't want to accidentally give up a quick touchdown, but at the same time, if you're okay giving up a touchdown 2 minutes later, what's the difference? So again, it's Jared Stidham, so I don't care so much. I can hear that in my ear. Please stop. What I would have liked to see a little bit differently is Nick Bolton recognizing that they were going to attack him.
Mm-hmm.
And they did on multiple third downs to, lining Devontae Adams up in the slot. Hey, by the way, Nick Bolton, it's coming at you. Somebody, it's coming to you. That's all you got to do.
Be prepared.
Yeah, so it looked like he was uncomfortable even knowing that it was coming to his way. But at the end of the day, you can't really argue with what they were able to do, getting pressure on, again, a very bad offensive line. This was a terrible I don't think that they're going to see an offensive line this bad in the postseason, but the fact of the matter is that they've been getting exponentially better returns from guys like Mike Dana in the middle, up the middle of the field in pass rush. Chris Jones had to play a little bit of defensive end because of Frank Clark went out. Karlaftis has been really good over the last 2 months of the season. He's been really trending upward. We told you earlier in the season, he was getting close. Those sacks would come. those sacks have come, and they've gotten to the point where, he's a productive player in the sack department. So everything's really trending up for the pass rush. Hopefully, Frank can use this bye week now to rest up, because they are going to be best with a full complement of rotational pass rushers.
I'm glad they pulled him early.
Yeah.
From what I understand, it is a minor groin strain for Frank Clark. So hopefully this extra rest can take care of that. We have to hope so, because that is the one worry coming out of this ball game. Knock on wood that gets straightened
everybody.
out. Bye, Miss Avery.
Nice week. Good job.
And Red was just talking about this too. That when Derek Notting's trying to hey, take the O2 mask, man. Get
right. Hey, yeah. I would have gone into his face and been like, "Hey, bye, buddy.
We're gonna need this from you." Thank you, Clinton, and thank you, Thomas. I did find it. I had to go reload the comments there, but I got it. Appreciate your guys' support. Judge asked a great question, Dan. 5 straight conference championships in a row at Arrowhead. Is that what you're predicting?
I mean, we'll see if it's going to be at Arrowhead. We'll see. Obviously, it still has to be the Bills if they win. So the Bills not only have to win tomorrow, they have to win 2 other games to get to the AFC Championship game. That's the key. That is the key, okay? Anybody else, and it will be home.
Including the Bengals.
Yeah, it will be home if the Chiefs do take care of business in the divisional round, okay?
Yeah.
So, I think that we can rightfully assume, because they have been there, done that 4 straight times, that they know what needs to be done to make this a reality, okay?
Yeah.
Execution, I think they're going to be more prepared for 3 rushes. I think that they are more prepared on the ground. 3 rushing touchdowns today. All 4 touchdowns. Well, not all 4. 4 touchdowns were scored. Actually, no, it was. All 4 touchdowns were scored by running backs.
Yep.
Well, not all.
3 on the ground. But
3 on the ground, and so you know what I mean. But
and the flip.
Yeah. That flip. It gets me every time. But I do think that they're situationally preparing themselves to run the football in those, if teams start dropping 8 and rushing 3. I think they are mentally right now preparing themselves to be able to do so. We saw more power run plays in this game, by the way. We saw more power. We saw more multiple counters. And guess what? Ronald Jones at the end of the game was countering. Okay? They did a counter play with Kadarius Toney.
I know you've been waiting for it. That's why I tweeted
it was a point.
Out.
It was one of my points in the game plan. Activate the power run game. And guess what? They did in this game. This is going to be something you have to continue on in the postseason, because how many times have we seen, Isaiah Pacheco had the good run in out of outside zone to end the game, really, before that touchdown that he got. But before then, what was he doing? He was running to the offensive line until you had some power game runs.
Yep.
And that's when he got into space. That's when he's best. Power, football, everybody. And the Chiefs' run game actually looks good.
And the only thing that I will say about the power goal line stuff is it concerns me when Jerick McKinnon is the lead blocker. But I will say this.
Good.
He did look good. He is a very good blocker, so I understand that you just don't want to take the risk. I wouldn't have taken the risk. But I will tell you this. What they're going to do next time is that's going to be a different player. They've set it up so that they can swap things out and vary it by not putting him as the blocker next time. And that will be better. Judge, I feel like this is, because of the way this is falling out, I do feel like they have a good shot at getting that 5th AFC Championship in Arrowhead. I just don't know how the Bills respond. I could see them having a lot of joy with the way that DeMar has recovered so far, and maybe that fuels them. Maybe that lifts them because they've been teetering on a little bit of problematic stuff the last few weeks. So just remember, watch the Bills. It's about the Bills. If they lose tomorrow, it's definitely going through Arrowhead. No matter what, even if it is them, because they would then not have been in position to have the first round seed. And the language on the report, I put it all out there on NFL 33 yesterday. So make sure you can check that out if you want the details. And also for you guys, it's a lull week for us. So we're going to have a couple of posts on NFL 33. If you guys would go get subbed over there, there's varying tiers. But that's where all of our hardcore draft stuff is going to go. And we both have a top 5 list coming out this week of the 2 positions the Kansas City Chiefs need the most, at edge and at offensive tackle. So make sure that you get subbed over there. We're going to make a full hardcore off-season push in the draft this year, and I want you guys to be part of it. Let's get back to the questions, because there's a couple here, and I do want to recognize PK. Thank you. Hope you had a great New Year. What team do you think is the biggest obstacle in the playoffs, Cincy, Buffalo, or the wild card? What do you think?
I think it's Cincinnati. They, in my opinion, they have been the best team in football over the last month plus. Everywhere, defense, offense, doing multiple things offensively, executing really, really well. They're extremely hungry after their Super Bowl lost last year, and it's fueling them right now. After they went 0-2 to start the season, they have been excellent. And after their bye, they've been in a really good, efficient run offense, and that is where you can really start to see the game plan come in for the Bengals. So for me, it's Cincinnati. Buffalo, when they're clicking everywhere, they're having some injuries on the offensive line right now, but when they are clicking, they're just as a threat as Cincinnati. But right now, I'm in the corner of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay. I would agree. I would put Buffalo next. And honestly, I would put the Chargers after that.
Absolutely.
Just because of the matchup problems the Chiefs have. It's one of those things like this Titans thing tonight. Oh, I guess they already started. Sorry, folks.
Yes, they did.
The Titans and Jags, nobody scares me there. Not at all. Not even close. So that's where we would go, PK. Sugar, hope you're doing well. Thanks for this. I'm still concerned that Pat doesn't see the open players when he looks, when he locks in on Travis. Once this was that 3rd and 2nd. Yep. And I completely agree with you. That is what it is. It's the expectation going to the snap. It's not what he does after the snap. It's that he's already got it built in before the snap happens. And I agree with you. The one thing that I will say is 90% of the time it works out. I don't know what you just saw, Dan, but now I'm concerned.
It was a 3rd and 15 in the first quarter, and he catches the ball underneath and then chucks it while he's being tackled over to his player, and he catches it. Like, what is happening?
Craziness.
What is going on in this game? Okay, it's an illegal forward pass. Wow.
Okay.
Oh,
well, hey,
that was nuts.
I'm glad you're on fire. Well, but Sugar, we totally agree with you. That is a concern. And honestly,
absolutely.
Patrick's mentioned it. He just has to train himself out of it. And I don't know that he can yet. I did find it very interesting to hear all the opinions, both pregame and during the game, about how, remember when we all said that this wasn't going to work and Tyreek Hill killed this offense? Nice to hear everybody eat some crow there.
Yeah, a little bit.
I enjoy that part of it, especially, I'm wrong as much as anybody, but when I'm right, I enjoy it even more. So,
absolutely. Oh, it's so fun.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Jaden, hope you're doing well. Is Chris Jones the defensive player of the year? And Jones more Lou runs or no? I don't know.
Not sure
is he the defensive player of the year? He's in the conversation. You were right. I had the filter on for just AFC. That's why I had Nick Bosa's numbers wrong. But so he is currently tied for 3rd. So I think you can make an argument for Bosa, who's ahead of him. You can make an argument for Hassan Reddick, who's a half sack.
Yeah, I think that the big thing here is that Nick Bosa missed time because of injury.
Right.
And he already has 17.5, so he's probably going to win it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Pono, Kadarius is number 1 receiver. The others don't have his athleticism. Sorry, Ryan. I know you like Juju as number 1. Juju is number 1, and I'll tell you exactly why. Because Kadarius cannot break down a defense. He cannot attack zone because he just doesn't have the experience. He's easily the best athlete at the position. I completely give you that. But until he grows, he is not overtaking Juju for me. And I think you see in the way that the ball is delivered, they have to predetermine his plays to get him the ball. It is not he can make chicken soup out of chicken like you can some of the more veteran players.
Not yet.
Exactly. Is that true next year, or is it 24?
I think that the play last week against the Broncos where he identifies the zone coverage and scoots underneath that first initial attempt at pressing him and then hits on his break, I think that's the building block. Because we know that he can run routes against man coverage, and he's a good athlete in space. They do a lot to get him the football because good things happen. He's got 3 touchdowns on the season, if I'm not wrong about that. He didn't have any last year with the Giants, and they worked him along slowly after the injury. He looks good right now. Okay.
Yeah. You want to see somebody pissed off? Go look at Brian Dable right now.
So mad. So mad. I don't know. Mike Kafka probably is too. He's like, I just had him. Now he's on the team that I just was with. I mean, so he's a little mad too. But Kadarius Toney, probably maybe not immediately next year, but he's going to be the offseason. What he needs to do is work with Patrick and Travis Kelce. Maybe Juju and Kelce can help with him too, because Juju and Kelce operate a lot of the same way with their zone coverages.
True.
next year, you might see him take a nice big step forward in what he can do to break down a defense. Because if you start seeing him running some whip routes, some option routes, that's how you know they have trust and faith in him to read a defense and break it down.
He should be doing what Renfro did tonight.
That's
absolutely what he should be doing.
That's the next evolution in his game.
Exactly.
But he's even more of a deep threat.
Yeah. And Pono, you are absolutely right. He is easily the number one athlete at the wide receiver position. Not a doubt. Thank you for that. Oscar, what's up? Hope you guys are doing well. Even though it was against the Rays, do you grade the Chiefs play tonight, and do you see the playoffs since we're going to have a bye week? I feel very confident. It's sad to say, but the truth is, because of the way everything has worked out, it's going to be the Bills and the Bengals having to beat each other. The Chiefs aren't going to have to play both of them, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
That is a plus for me in the scenario of getting the AFC Championship, having a shot at the Super Bowl.
Exactly. And I know that a lot of people want to say, well, let's play both of them. Do you really want to? I know the team probably does and would be okay, doing it and having to play both. They did that last year. They did escape the Bills and then ended up losing to the Bengals. But at the same time, I don't think that's how it's just not how it works. The best teams in the NFL typically end up facing each other one way or the other in this playoff format. And when you have three teams that I can consider the best in the AFC or even in the NFL at some point in time, you don't have to face all of them. That's just typically not how it's going to work. The Chiefs got, lined up last year and then ended up losing in the AFC Championship game. But this year, it's a little bit different, and I think that they've been playing worse up until now. But getting to avoid one of them is always a little bit of a sigh of relief, as much as you still want to play them and beat them.
Yeah, I'm with you. Darius, this is a great question because you do have to always worry about it. If McKinnon goes down, does Clyde get his touches in the pass game, or does Pat not give him the same opportunities? Well, first, Clyde isn't back. He can be designated for return. I don't know if he's going to. I have not heard a single update about his health yet. Mm-hmm. But say he is, and then McKinnon does have to miss time. I have to tell you, Clyde can't do the things that McKinnon can. I have to think after tonight and after the last 2 weeks, I think they put Sky or Kadarius in that role on designated third downs when he's going to run a route. Now, neither of them can pass block worth a dang. So, in terms of those where they want to keep him in, they can't do that. So maybe that is Clyde. But when it's a route out of the backfield, I think those two guys are your better bets right now.
Probably. I think they might even mix Pacheco in and give Clyde more early down work if he's healthy, because we've seen Pacheco able to deliver a pass block or a block or a chip and catch the ball with explosion and speed. So I would think they'd work him a little bit in more. But right now, McKinnon has been so good for this.
Just stay healthy. And is it just me, or is it just a little weird that in the desert, in the dome, he still had the balaclava thing on?
Yeah, right.
Maybe it's just a fit thing. Maybe it makes the helmet snug. I don't know.
It's lucky.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Haven't watched that thing all week. It's like that saxophone dude on the commercials. Jake, thanks for the super chat, for the 50 spot. Appreciate you. Celebratory number 1 seed. Raiders lost AFC West perfect season sweep. I like it. Did anyone player stand out to you guys today that really elevated? I saw some good play from Jay Reed.
Thank you. He was on my notes multiple times. Justin, ever since the Bengals game, where he was yapping his mouth. Yeah, he was talking. Yep. Guess what? This is what we've seen. Button, lip, and this is how his play has gone. He was excellent against Darren Waller today. Excellent. Okay? He was literally in perfect coverage in both of those. They just kind of got a really nice throw over the top of him, and he couldn't get inbounds because Reed is smothering him. Okay?
Yep.
And you saw, you heard Louis Riddick talk about, you don't always have to get your head around. Well, we always ask corners to, because most of the time they can't do what Justin Reed was doing. He knew he was reading the hands, okay? He was reading them, and anytime they got ready, guess what? Good luck. You're not catching it. Because I'm putting it right where it needs to be. That's what Justin Reed was doing. And he was coming down. He was blitzing. He has been effective in pass defense, in blitzing, and coming down in the run game. Right now, he's playing his best football for Kansas City, and that really helps unlock this defense. When you have two safeties, I think Juan played really good in this game too. When you have two safeties that can actually feed off each other and play well with their athletic ability, that allows them to then play Brian Cook as the dime backer, which we saw multiple times in this game, because you trust, okay, they're doing their job. You can get the rookie in there because I don't have to worry so much about the back end.
I am so glad you got to that, because Brian Cook is my guy.
Yeah.
Because not only did he play deep half high, he came down and played robber. He played the middle alley guy in Tampa 2. You can call it the Tampa linebacker if you want. But
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned him because he stuck out to me as well. That allows them to be so versatile with those three guys.
Trust him.
And look what it did for Juan. Knowing that he doesn't have to worry about down in front of him because he's got those guys.
Yeah.
He got on his horse. He got that pick because he hustled. Yes, the ball was
in great
overthrown.
position too.
Exactly. It takes a lot. And I think that having that third guy, unlike where you were always having to make up for Sorensen,
Yeah.
I do think this unlocks what they can have from him. So
Agreed.
I'm glad you mentioned him. And kudos to George Karlaftis. We talked about him before, but
Yeah.
still on the way up. I do like that. There's a lot of guys who didn't get, they had the backside of this. Herring didn't play today. I thought Herring looked like he was ascending early in the season. Don't know what his future is going to be. We have some questions up here. They're going to affect that as well. So we're going to get back to them. Let's see. How sad are you that Colin didn't get a real target? Man, I was disappointed because, I mean, you saw what he could do. We've talked about it. He could catch those passes. If Patrick just had one guy that he could have sidestepped one more time, he'd have had a path.
Yeah.
It's on the film now, so they'll prepare for it, but now there'll be a new wrinkle. And I love the fact that it was Mike Burton and Colin was behind him. It wasn't even out of the fullback slot. It was beautiful.
They should bring him in a couple times, not in the goal line on third down.
Absolutely.
Leave
Keep everybody
him
honest.
out. Because guess what? He catches that ball and he's going 20 yards. I promise you he's going 20 yards.
Who's going to tackle him? Tell me.
I don't know.
Because I got nothing. I mean, you're not going to get a safety to go in on him. I'll tell you that. It'll take
No,
like
definitely
4
not.
dudes. Oh, it's going to be crazy. I'm looking forward to that. How about Mike's 2 forced fumbles today? Yeah, we mentioned that, Kenneth, and thanks for bringing that up. Dana's one of the guys that raised his game today. And again, I think this feeds off of Chris Jones. I think it is the opportunity. Frank goes out and like, boom, you're the guy. We need you more. Boom. I like that Mike Dan is able to throttle up when he has to.
Yeah, you're seeing the experience at Michigan pay off right now. That year he spent playing as an interior run defender and pass rusher has paid off. He has been excellent rushing from the interior this season. And that's where he's gotten a lot of his sacks and his pressures and now 2 fumbles. He's just been a huge part of what this defense is building on the interior, which is a rotation. And it's been very good. And that's what you're asking for, just to them to be good. And they've been good.
And rotations are how you sustain things.
Yeah.
So, hey, that's what comes down to the key thing. Rob, I know it was just the Raiders. This is a very good point, but does the defense seem to be peaking? I would say that they're very close. I don't know. Trent had a little bit of trouble. It's Devontae Adams, so you got to take that with a big grain of salt. Nick had a couple of problems today, too. He undershot a gap when he could have just stuck to his assignment and made a play for a couple of yards. It ends up going for like 8 or 10. A couple of decision makings here, and I think that gets a little emotional when you're playing the Raiders. Am I wrong?
No, they were. I also think that while they called this the snow globe, this kind of felt like, oh, they took a lap around around Arrowhead. Well, let's go ahead and bring this little circular motion into this game while we're up big and just kind of lay one on them. Because they did score a touchdown on that play. It was called back from a soft penalty. Yeah, I think that they were just kind of stirring the drink a little bit.
I'm gonna have to come up with a Dots shirt just for that. Speaking of you guys, if you guys want to check out the store, you can support the channel that way. That does definitely help us. We have some cool things like, the fact that the Chiefs own the West, another sweep, a 7th AFC West title, and you can use the code 7AFCW in there and get a nice discount on there. You can get Dan's gear for his show. You can get Kingdom and the Rogue Nation gear, and then obviously this new one. This is my new favorite, man. I'm kind of happy with the way this came out. Yeah, right?
Yeah, man. It's so nice.
We appreciate all the support. A ton of you guys are grabbing these up, and I just want to let you know that Teespring is knocking them out. I upped the cycle, so they print every 2 days. It should speed up the delivery time as well. So just wanted to let everybody know. We appreciate your support.
Thank you so much. Like these, and by the way, Ryan did the work on these. So this isn't even just like him giving an idea to someone and having them execute it. He did this himself. So you're also buying this man's work right here. So it's pretty awesome.
That's why they're so damn slow, though. I can get them done, but it takes a while for me. Thank you, Rob. And Steve, will we see 3 and 4 tight end sets in the playoffs to protect our offensive tackles? They will definitely do that. They had to put it on film now. I think it goes away for the divisional round. But I think in the championship round, they will definitely bring that back out as kind of like their weapon alternation kind of thing.
Yeah, it's going to really depend on the matchup.
The pass rushers.
Yeah, so much. And honestly, Blake Bell shouldn't be playing very much. That's my opinion. He does not need to be targeted, especially in the flat. Give me Noah Gray in the flat. 10 times out of 10. If you're going to put a tight end in the flat, let it be Noah Gray over Blake Bell. Like, he can't move anymore. Especially coming off an injury. He looks slow. Okay, use him for a blocking tight end, fine. Don't target him in the passing game unless he's downfield. That way he doesn't have to worry about Yak.
And Noah's Yak performance, I was just going to say, that's what Noah did really well today was his Yak performance. Thomas, thank you. I'm glad you're still happy with your shirts. I always look for feedback on the printers to make sure they're doing a good job. So thank you for letting me know that. I do appreciate it. It's something in the back of my head all the time. Let's see here. AFC West spent $1 billion. Yeah, I think Kent tweeted that out, right? Yeah, just keep on spending, everybody. Just keep on spending. We're going to be all right. Why do you think what do you think of the huddle dance? And the flag on Tooney was BS. He just manhandled his opponent. They called the wrong number. It wasn't Tooney that committed the foul. It was Orlando. And I think it was kind of legit when I saw the replay. So it's just
they said I thought they said 52. Look, I thought they said 52.
Oh, did they?
It was on Creed. So I don't know.
It's always something, right?
Something, man.
Jonathan, now that we've locked up the number 1 seed with Hardman and Sky coming back soon, how do you think that they will play even better when the playoffs start?
All right, man, I think this game propels them because we've seen multiple times where they get that first down and they just take off. This offense is first down driven, and and you almost saw them struggle out of the 2-minute warning when they were going down to score before the half. The 2-minute warning kind of threw off their motion. Then Mahomes got that, he got the rushing touch first down on third down. Then they punch it in. They are very execution driven. They get that first down, and guess what? It's over from there. Like, that really does seem to be where their offense thrives. And I think that this game, putting a bunch of stuff on tape, hitting balls down the field in the first drive of the game to Justin Watson down the sideline, getting the run game, the power game going. They're putting a lot of stuff on tape for defenses to have to prepare for. And honestly, if their run game is effective, I don't necessarily care how many times they run it, effective and efficient, then everything will open up. It won't matter because then they can start pounding it a little bit more. If teams are going to fine, take it, then they can lean into it a little bit. As long as they recognize, that's going to be the biggest thing. It's recognition, okay? Don't get stuck. It's like a pass rusher when you don't have a pass rush plan. Don't get stuck with your arms just trying to push him. If something's not working, guess what? Move away from it. If you're starting to throw into 8-man windows, run away from it a little bit, and then you'll start to see it start to happen. So I think we're going to see this offense be more prevalent in the postseason.
Well, and I like what we saw from Pacheco today too. He got to the magic play quicker than he has. And I always talk about this with the run game. It is about execution and efficiency for Andy Reid. But if you give a guy enough, he gets in a rhythm, and then he'll bust one off. So it's investment in that big play. And so he only got 8 carries today, but he got one of those big 30-yard chunks. So he ended up with 8 yards a carry today. And that is like investing in your young guy and giving him a chance.
Yep.
I love that. Brian, is Crosby a free agent at the end of the season? I think he is. I'm not 100%.
I'd love it.
First game, Coach Reid talking to him at length, and tonight Jones and Kelsey were speaking to him quite a bit. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, let's be real. I think it'd be miraculous if Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels let him get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But let's also be real. The Raiders are cash strapped. I think the Raiders could be, if it is a neutral site game, the place that the NFL puts them just to help Mark Davis out and give him some freaking income. That's what I think his situation is. So I just don't know if they can pay Max.
Yeah,
Chiefs
that's the
are
problem.
A little tight. Yeah, Chiefs are a little tight too.
Yeah, they're gonna have to pay Chris.
Yeah,
I know that there's the talk about trading Chris Jones in the offseason or things like that, sign and trade him, whatever it is, whatever you want to talk about. They're not going to let him go. This is not Bill Belichick and Chandler Jones. As much as it did work out for them, and I do think that there is an avenue to this working out for Chris Jones and the Chiefs, specifically because he's got 15 and a half sacks or whatever it is right now. You're talking about selling him at a very high point and being able to maybe maximize the rest of your roster. So I do understand it, but this is a very loyal organization. The Chiefs tried to keep Tyreek Hill. Let's not forget they offered him 25 million dollars, okay, whatever it was 22 or 23, something like that, and he said no. This was not them saying we're not going to pay you. They wanted to keep him, okay.
Yeah.
He said no. Chris Jones probably going to be in Kansas City next year.
That's my thought as well, especially after this performance. You just can't afford to let him go. If he were tailing off, maybe, but I just can't see it.
Yeah, no.
And Tyler, thanks for the question. Do you have Twitter yet? These are our Twitter handles right here.
Yes, sir. Right here.
You can always find us there. We have a couple others for RGR Media, as well as Rogue Analytics, and NFL 33 has one too, but I don't use it yet. It will get there, so just be on the lookout for that here in a bit. It looks like I need to make a switch. So Bill thought that McDuffie was a monster. I'd like to hear your thoughts while I make this switch here on McDuffie today.
All right, Bill. So McDuffie is a monster. I think he had some lower points in this game, a little inconsistent, almost had a couple picks, got a little excited in my opinion. He got one of those big eyes. He read that last throw to the number. Like he had Jarrett Stidham thinking that he wasn't going to be there, and then he just closes on it. And then all of it hit slow motion for him. So he was everywhere, in my opinion, and really doing a good job just trying to do what he can around Davante Adams. It's really hard. It's really, really hard to cover Davante Adams. Ask any guys who double teamed him over the last couple of years. Even two guys couldn't stop him in Green Bay. It didn't matter. So Trent McDuffie did his best. That touchdown against one, perfect throw. Nothing he could do about that.
Good.
Also, I don't know. Louis Riddick was talking about it. I don't know if they had safety help to him. I think Trent McDuffie is smart enough to understand if he had safety help to keep that outside shade, but he didn't. So that tells me he was one-on-one with no help. And when you're one-on-one with no help in the slot against a guy like Hunter Renfrow, you're going to lose that matchup. It's just even the elite players. You have to cover inside, you have to cover outside. What are you supposed to do? It's a no-win situation. And combined with that win, you have to combine that with a perfect throw. And it was. So to an extent,
and let me ask you this, because I said this on social media. He's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Well, Renfrow is as close to Julian Edelman as a slot guy is in this league right now.
Better.
You think he's better? Okay.
I think he's better. I think him and Cooper Kupp are the two best slot receivers in the NFL. And especially over the past couple of seasons, they have been. And mostly it's because he's a better short area athlete than Julian Edelman ever was, in my opinion. Edelman was really great at understanding defenses.
Where to be.
He was a quarterback. He was a quarterback out there, and he just knew. Him and Tom Brady had that understanding because they saw the field the same way. He knew where the defense was going to go, and he knew where to go. And so Hunter Renfrow has most of that. He's a way better short area athlete. I still can't believe they got him in the 6th round or wherever it was they drafted him. It was nuts.
Night Hunter said that we're wrong, and that Max Crosby was under contract until 2027. Okay. So thanks for checking that. I appreciate you, Night Hunter. I never know.
That's sad.
Yeah, hey. I felt like a long shot. Now, I'll say that. Let me put this a different way. I will say, everybody makes an investment in the place that they play. But I don't feel, from what I've seen of Max Crosby, that it is Raiders for life, ride or die. That isn't the feeling that I get. I have nothing to back that up. I'm just saying it isn't specific to that team for me. That's my feeling. So thanks for that, Night Hunter, and setting us straight. Luscious, NFL 33 is our Substack. It's a written format. So hit NFL33.com and you can get subscribed over there. You can get some free content. Most of all of our hardcore draft stuff is behind the content wall. But it's not a YouTube channel yet. We'll probably do that in the future. Keep an eye out for that in the off season, but we haven't started that yet. We got so many things going. It's hard to keep up with. We got to go back to Pono because I clicked off of him. Patrick could have hit 400 yards today, but he missed a bunch of timing routes. Everything was thrown behind, it seemed. Yeah, and I wouldn't necessarily call those timing routes just because a lot of them were in breakers where the receiver can actually see him. But you're right. There were, by my count, let me double check. There were 6 passes thrown behind their receivers. It's been a trend the last 6 weeks or so that Patrick's been a little bit more and more behind the way that his receiver is cutting. And I'm not sure why it is. It's even happening to Kels. So I don't know if it's just he's rushing himself or if he's not setting his feet. He has talked about trying to get his base back under him. But it does seem to be a bit of an issue right now. Do you think he can correct it here before playoffs in the next 2 weeks?
I think so, but again, I think that this was a good step forward from last week. We're noticing it a lot on the underneath the quick hitters that he's seeing. Again, having guys that have to adjust. Sky Moore having to adjust last week on a should have been touchdown. A couple underthrows to MVS today. It's how it's something that they need to he needs to kind of sit down and figure out. He's got a week now to do that. I think that's going to be huge. Him and Matt Nagy can sit down and talk about what they need to do best. Maybe it's also him reading defenses a little bit differently.
Could be.
Because we do know that he tends to throw based on where he thinks the defense is going or trying to prevent guys from getting hit. Mm-hmm. I think that might be a little bit where it's coming from, trying to not lead into defenders and throw them behind so they can adjust and then have an easier path through. Sometimes just put it on the money and just be like, look, you're going to get hit, especially over the middle of the field. These guys are going to get hit. This is the NFL. You don't always have to locate the ball to a point where they don't take the brunt of it because I think we've seen some inaccuracies tend to happen from it.
Yeah. I hope he can get it sorted out. I have faith that he can. Lil Caddy, imagine if we come out Snow Club and then go hard count, offsides every time. I think that'd be fun. I think you might see it as well, especially if they're going to keep that to like a red zone type play. Thomas, is the offensive line ready for the playoffs? I feel like our interior 3 is, but I'm worried about the tackles. Yep, and there's nothing you can do about it. They're not going to make any changes. If they were going to put Lucas Niang in there, I think they would have already. I don't see it changing in the playoff run. I mean, if they get a matchup where like one of the tackles is getting destroyed, maybe. If Wiley comes out and gives up 3 sacks and a half, you might see Niang come in. But I think that's pretty much the only scenario I can see.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. When Sky back with the divisional game, could we see more plays to him because of the playbook being opened up? And was Andy saving something? Tyler, I think Andy was absolutely saving something. I think this is all like the appetizer, and it's going to get a much wider smorgasbord here that's going to come when both McCole and Sky are back, and they have Tony. Like, I can't keep up with it, and I could draw stuff up in my sleep. So
Cole Hardman is still the fastest player on this roster. Let's not forget the gravity that he can bring, not just as a field stretcher, but what he does for this team in the red zone. As good as Tony has been, he's a much better short area athlete. He doesn't have that the acceleration that McCole Hardman has. We all kind of forgot what it looks like. It's different. It's different. It's next to only Tyreek Hill. That's it.
Yeah, it definitely opens things up. Look for those sales and those, deep goes from the slot. Like that's going to help the other slot receivers too. There's a lot that's going to cascade off of it. Scott, would you play the Bengals in the Bengals stadium if the Chiefs versus Bills for the AFC Championship? I would. I don't know if you're going to get anybody to come out there though, because Bengals fans ain't going to do it. And I think honestly, the only people that really want that are the Bengals owners because they'd like to recoup some home game ticket sales. They'd like to get. So, Jonathan, what are your guys' thoughts on Watson's deep reception early in the game? I felt like it gave the offense early juice and motivation. I felt like it gave some confidence back to Watson, and I think that's what it was designed for.
A little bit. That also because the deep shots had been there early in the games. Chiefs typically don't always go down the field. They really like to set it up with a lot of quick game. Go back to the Broncos game. They knifed them down the field multiple times on 2 straight drives, and then in the second half they started to take the deep shots. This time they came out firing with that deep shot, and it just opens everything up. And that's until they decided to run the ball, pass the ball 3 times in the red zone from the 4-yard line. Andy, come on, work with me. Work with me. You don't need to throw the ball three times from the 4-yard line. You don't have to. Okay, you don't have to. But I think it helped relax everybody, because I think not only was it designed to let Watson get some comfort and some confidence, it's also to calm everybody down. Like, look, like we're on the what was a 20-ish yard line around there. Now we're at the goal line. It's one play, and we can kind of ease into this a little bit. We get the ball. The Chiefs got the ball first. Give our defense a little bit of a breathing room already. Like, it was really meant to calm the team down and let them play loose.
Yeah. I think when you have a loose team overall, I think they roll with the punches better. I think when they tighten up is when you get nervous. Jonathan had another one too. We talked about Saunders in the backfield, but also had a couple of nice rushes. He dropped into coverage. Would you give him a new contract?
Yes, I think I would. Right now, again, contract year is kind of undefeated, but we're not talking about overpaying this guy. This is 1 year of production, and he's been pretty good this year. And he can be a good rotational piece. He's not a starter. He's a rotational asset for your defense.
Personally, I think he's a third down player.
Okay.
I'm okay if he's the other pass rusher on the interior. Now, there's draft picks. There's other free agent guys that can come in and do that. I thought they got decent snaps from Brandon Williams as well. I saw him get at least 2 pressures, or at least 2 where he beat his man. Maybe it wasn't technically a pressure. We'll see. Tyler, Darius Harris man up on Waller gave me heart palpitations, as it should. That was a mismatch. And that's the problem. When you have an athletic tight end like that and you want to rotate your linebackers, there's really no way to get away from it. If they have a situational tight end that maybe comes off the field and goes out, whatever, but not Waller.
Yeah.
What do you got? What are you chuckling about?
Just I saw a comment that we'll get to eventually at some point, and then the Jaguars just scored a touchdown. It's 10-7, Tennessee. Which
okay, I like it.
Shocked me enough. But yeah, Darius Harris, man. I like the player. He shouldn't be out there a ton. He shouldn't.
No.
Unless Willie Gay needs a breather. But I can tell you right now, Willie Gay doesn't need a breather for 5 straight plays on the second drive of the game.
It almost feels like it's platoon by drive, and it shouldn't be that much.
It shouldn't be.
It's unfortunate. I'm looking up leaders here for this one from Eli. Thanks, Eli.
Okay.
I want to say that Nick is the leader right now. Defense and tackles in the entire NFL. Let's take a look.
Right now, Nick Bolton is the leader, total combined, but obviously we'll see at the end of the season there's guys that are 9 away. I think there's 1. No, that can't be right.
He hit 180 tonight.
Yeah.
Olakon is at 171.
Okay,
He's playing now,
too.
so that doesn't have his current stats involved.
Yeah.
So if he goes over 9, it could get there.
Yeah.
And honestly, Jordan Brooks is not really that close. He'd be 3rd.
He's also out for the season. So.
Oh, Olakon is?
No.
Brooks is.
Brooks is done. Yeah.
See, I've not been paying much attention. And if so, he didn't make the Pro Bowl this year. I thought he was an alternate so far. He may yet still get into it. So we'll see, Eli. Has Sean Payton lost his damn mind wanting to go to the Broncos? Nobody said he wants to go, Special K. Said that they gave him permission.
Like, this was the Broncos saying, hey, can we interview him? This isn't like Sean Payton saying, hey, yeah, you can interview me. He doesn't have a choice in the matter of this what was being done.
Well, and the other thing is like, if you're Sean Payton, you want to start interviewing, because especially if you want to go, if the Rams job opens up, or good Lord, who knows what could open up. If you're trying to make yourself the premier guy, go start interviewing and make teams bid against you. That's what it is, because they're going to have to give up draft capital and pay to buy out his contract, because he is under contract to the Saints. That's why they had to give permission for him to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
So I think that's good for Sean Payton. Love seeing that Avery. She reminds me so much of my daughters. That's awesome. Thanks, Jay.
Appreciate it, Jay.
Scott, how will they have shown that they will play 20 games versus 18 and a half? We will play the teams with the least 3/4 of a QB on their rosters going forward. I'm not following that one.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm sorry, Scott. Can't quite understand what you're going for there, man.
All right. I must have missed something in the chat. Sorry about that. Dez, thank you for the support. Appreciate you. Seems like the Bills have to play the Steelers and Cincy. If I understand it, they will have to play Jacksonville and the Chargers or Tennessee. Is that right? We don't know yet.
Yeah.
We have multiple games. This game is going to determine the winner of the AFC South tonight, the one that's going on right now with Jags and Titans. That'll be the first step. There's a lot to come. Honestly, the big thing that affects who's going to be where, if the Bills fall, I think seeding wise, they'll have the same record as the Bills, as the Bengals, if the Bengals win. But I think then it goes to points generated. I think there's a way that the Bills actually fall to third, and that would mess all of that up. So we're just going to have to see what comes. Special K, Chiefs defense generated the highest single game pressure rate, 45, over the last 3 seasons in Week 18. That'd be really interesting. If that's what Next Gen Stats says, then I think they're probably right. I will say I don't have access to them because it's the super highfalutin media that are the only ones that get Next Gen Stats.
Mhm.
So I will check that against what PFF has because I do have that. So I'll let you guys know in the next day or two. Yep. Okay. Time. Thank you for that. You made sure that I'm right on that one. It's just me, or did we have a ton of missed tackles today? I counted a few. I wouldn't say it was huge. I wanted to say 4. Did I miss some?
I don't know. There wasn't like a baffling amount in terms of like 10 plus. I don't think there was 10 plus. I do think that there were some angles that were misunderstood. Willie Gay he almost broke down to that tackle he missed, and then he started to go again. Like he stopped and then he started right back up. Like it was a half second where he could have just stopped, regained his composure, and then tackled. And instead, guy gets 15 yards on that play. But it's not like bad. It wasn't hindering the defense a ton. They were still able to complete what they went out to do.
Yeah, I'm with you. Crockeror, actually it's on the table because he threatened to retire last year. So, and if Aaron Donald doesn't come back, he threatened to retire last year. A losing season will put an end to your career real quickly if you're just tired. And I get the feeling that Sean McVay's like that. We're hearing rumors out of LA that it is a possibility yet again. We'll see what happens. It's not like he's going to get fired. That's not what we're saying, but he may choose to step away. So there's a lot of possibilities. Let's see. We got that one. We got Terry's drinking game with number 77 eligible. That's hilarious. It was a lot early. Do the Chargers lose on purpose to try to see the Chiefs in the divisional round by being the lowest seed to come out? Nobody loses on purpose in this league. I guarantee you.
They want that 5 seed.
But I hope they don't lose either because I seriously don't like the matchup. Why did we go into a lot of his creative plays? Shouldn't we have waited for the playoffs? I think there's 2 things here, Samuel. And Dan, give me yours first, and I'll see if you hit them all.
No, this is Andy Reid giving defensive coordinators 2 weeks to kind of like have to think about what could happen. Like this is the fake before you fake kind of thing. Like Andy, I think he's done this a couple of times over the last couple of seasons in Week 18. Honestly, over the last few weeks, they've won play a game where they come out and they do something different. They brought Colin Saunders out in the field a couple of weeks ago. They've been looking to put little tiny differences into the defensive game plans because they want you to know there's more. They haven't really scratched the surface on the playbook that Andy Reid has. And that's the scary part because every week it's something different. It's one play or it's 2 plays that you're just like, where'd that come from? And the fact that the players have come out and said that they created that whole snow globe thing. And Andy Reid said, use it in a game.
Yeah.
That has to scare teams out of their mind.
That's a good way to put it.
It has to. He's letting the players make up plays? What's going on there?
Well, Mahomes has been doing that for over a year now.
Yeah.
They had some last season too, so it should strike fear. I look at Andy Reid in doing this way in particular, and I've been hoping for this. He doesn't do it all the time, but I look at him as that pain in the butt teacher you had in high school that just gave you busy work to do. because now they have to go break down these plays. They have to spend precious time preparing for those plays because they're on film now. And if they don't, they're just going to get destroyed. And he's going to come out with either variations or a whole different set of weird plays that just waste the defensive's time in preparation for their ball game. That's what it comes down to. I do too. It's just wicked smart. That's what we covered there. Andy, nope. Andy Humberg, I am not going to post your question because this is why I have learned I have to look ahead a little bit. Oh, you got a flash there, Andy, and I know that's what you were looking for. Do you think that Nazi will get some defensive snaps next year? I think he's in the mix. I think he's showing the special teams prowess. They're really stacked at the position. So he has an opportunity there. He's on the roster now, so that's something. But he could be that guy that gets injury snaps. You know, like if Watson or Williams breaks down, then maybe you move Trent back outside or Legarius back outside and he can go into the nickel. I'm a little cringy about Najee against the taller, bigger receivers in the division in particular.
I think Najee Johnson is going to be a core special teams player. So I don't believe he's going to be getting defensive snaps. But as a 7th-round player, you get a core special teams player. That's printing money. That's printing money if you can get them in the 7th round and they can be productive special teams players. That's every time. You'd love to have that every time.
Yeah, you are winning it right there. That is awesome. Thank you, by the way. We appreciate that one, Steven.
Yes, appreciate it.
Said, can we appreciate the 16-0 versus division away games for Pat? And 6-0 on the year is scary. Yes, it absolutely is. And all in a year where somebody posted a big tweet of a list of people that picked the Chargers to win, and some people even picking the Chiefs to finish below Denver. And that's just how stupid some people get in the preseason. So I just want to put that out there. Next preseason, ignore a bunch of people who don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, right.
Greg has a good point. Not scoring in the third quarter is a bit concerning. Yeah, there were some mistakes there. A couple of punts that I think were mistake-driven. But, again, when you're up, what was it, 21-3 at the time?
It was 24-3 at the time.
Yeah. I can live with it.
Yeah.
It's better than letting all the way off the gas. I felt like they did a decent job keeping it down today. So
yeah.
Any pass rushers in the playoffs that concern you, given the fact that they leave Wiley on an island? All of them.
Yep. Everyone. Doesn't matter. Honestly, doesn't matter. Don't leave them on an island.
Playoffs are another level, man. They're just another level. Like even Greg Rousseau, who I think has had an up and down season. It's just something that you never know. Length, instinct, etc. The good thing that Wiley has is Wiley's played in Super Bowls, and so like getting to that point, I think that he's got a little bit of an edge there mentally. Who's the game's MVP outside of Patrick? For me, it's Chris Jones.
Yeah, it's Chris Jones without a doubt. 10 pressures, 2.5 sacks. Yeah, all day.
That's pretty great. Did Spags take the training wheels off and put some stuff on tape? I think so. And he was really blitz heavy, specifically with the safeties early.
Yeah.
And I think that sets up some tape, but it also gets those guys, gets their juices flowing. And I think for Reed in particular, I felt that helped his game lift today.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think they did a great job of not even just that. I saw Trent McDuffie have a couple of blitzes as well. They're doing a really nice job of getting their secondary members involved in their pass rush plan, which really makes it difficult to game plan because you could send defensive backs, you can send linebackers. It doesn't really matter. So that does give you some more options as you're trying to open up your pass rush, especially in the postseason.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's all about getting to that postseason and really having some other level you can go to. Now that Chiefs swept the West, will Ryan add brooms by 2022? Yes, I'll give you like a new logo with cross brooms or something like that. That's a great idea, Craig. In fact, I got to screenshot that right now, or else I'll forget because I'm dumb. It happens. Crosby signed a new deal last March. He's not a free agent. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate that. And thanks for the super chat while you're telling me that.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Ron.
I'm sorry. I just can't keep up on everything that happens all the time, but that's a good point. Now there's still a time where you can walk away. I don't know the specifics of his contract. I do anticipate that the Raiders are going to be making some wholesale changes. I do think that that's coming. I just don't know in what form. I got to think that Crosby isn't one of them, but honestly, you never know. I am going to have a piece on what I think the Raiders should be doing and who they should be looking for and what we should be prepared for. There's a lot of yak about Tom Brady. I think that's on the table. There's also 2 other quarterbacks that used to play in New England or do play in New England right now that I think Josh McDaniels is going to be interested in. And yes, I'm going to keep my narrative going. You and Damien can tell me how dumb I am later, but I do think there's a scenario behind that, and I'm gonna extend it. Jesus, we don't know who the Chiefs played next, and we won't until after next weekend's wild card games.
I think he just wanted to guess. But
Just a guess? Okay. Let's see who's going to be the lowest seed remaining. Let me look real quick. Do you have a feeling, Dan?
I think Pittsburgh will be, the low seed. I think they're actually going to get in to the playoffs. I don't know if they win a game, but I do know that if Lamar Jackson plays in the postseason, the Ravens could be the lowest seed left because they'll be. I think they're locked into the 6th seed right now. So I think Baltimore is a good bet in the divisional round.
Okay, that's fair. I could see the Chargers knocking off the Jags, and so far that looks like the way it's going to remain. I don't know. We'll see what happens tonight. I don't see the Patriots being able to get a win. So
yeah,
I would guess Chargers or Ravens are probably it right now.
Yeah, makes sense.
We'll find out. Thanks, Keaton. Appreciate you. Honestly, Stidham didn't look that bad. Raiders line was just completely outclassed. Well, there you're absolutely right.
I don't disagree with that at all.
I just don't think Stidham's good enough to be a starting quarterback for a full season. I think he's a nice bridge guy if you have to, and I think he's a quality backup. I think he's demonstrated that in 2 straight games.
Yeah,
I know he had a frustrating night tonight, but I think he ran their offense well.
Yeah, he does. He does.
So I think he's still with them. I hope. I feel like and Keaton had another one. Thank you. I just feel like he's had time to improvise a bit more with Hill gone, and he used his feet a lot more this season. Might be just jittery with everything on the line for the bye. Maybe, but Patrick should be cool.
Yeah.
Luke at this point. So I agree with you, though. I do like that he's using his legs to better effect picking and choosing his times, I think. He doesn't seem to have nearly as happy feet as he has in the past. Am I giving him too much credit, Dan?
A little. I still think that there's multiple times where he's run out of the pocket for no reason, but it's gotten much better. We'll just say that.
Okay, fair enough. I think this is fun, so I'm just going to jump on this. Trolls are not really welcome, Bolton. Get out. The other thing I'll tell you is it wasn't handed to anyone. You're assuming the Bills won that game. If they hadn't, Chiefs would still be number 1.
They were also on their way to go and be 14-3.
Yeah, cool your jets. In fact, if you're just going to spam us too, I wish I had Aaron in here tonight, but hell, we'll just block him. You're banned, Bolton. See ya. It's kind of rewarding to do that. I have to tell you guys. Got Keaton's. He's just nobody's talking about Dunlap. He's been disruptive. He has, and he's been great when he hasn't been able to get to the quarterback, getting his arms up. And he is the guy. I do believe. I went back and checked a few weeks ago. I think he's the guy with the longest arm like on this roster. So he's certainly using it.
Absolutely.
Samuel, were you happy with Ronald Jones' increase in reps to have Pacheco to save Pacheco from injury? Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think Rojo showed what he is and what he isn't tonight. He was able to grind some inside things, wasn't able to accelerate out of them. He wasn't able to hit the edge. But he is a guy that, 4 yards in the cloud of dust. If you have to go to that, I think you can still let him do that. And he takes that wear and tear off Pacheco. I'm totally with you, Samuel. Let's see. Do the teams get 100% of ticket sales, or does the league take a cut? It all goes in, I believe, to the pool that is the revenue share pool. I'm not 100% on how that part of it works. I don't get into the financials very much, but I believe it goes into the common pool that is for the revenue share across the league. Dan, if you know different, tell me, because I think you're muted.
I am muted because my daughter is having an argument with me right now.
Oh, that's awesome. Tell her I said Dad wins. Do we still need a fullback? Absolutely. Burton has been MIA. Not really 89. He's been contributing on special teams. Can't do anything if Andy doesn't call your number. And quite frankly, Andy was really bad at calling the same dive play for him over and over and over through the first 2/3, 3/4 of the season. So we do still need a fullback. I will die on that hill, and that's okay. Garrick Dieter seems to disagree with me. Couldn't care less. Garrick, tell me when you can go do that job, and then I'll actually give a crap what you had to say. So I don't want to hear anybody coming at me about the fullback anymore. If you aren't asking a question, I got a little annoyed with that. I got to say, when an ex-player wants to make comments about my opinions, so I get to have my opinion as well. But KSU, I get it if you're like over it. I just don't know what reason there would be to actually eliminate the position. Some people want to do that. I'm sure some rosters already do. But I think you'll notice the playoff teams generally have one. So
Yeah.
that might say something. MVS is better than D-Rob. I agree. How is it that Mahomes' chemistry with MVS is so minimal? That's a great question, Callie. And I think that just comes down to personalities. I can't really get any farther than that because I don't have a better answer. Do you, Dan?
No, so I will disagree with you that MVS is better than D-Rob was, because at the very least, DeMarcus Robinson knew exactly how Patrick wanted to play in terms of when plays broke down, he was always getting open. He always getting open. He also scored touchdowns on double moves multiple times a year. MVS has not shown. I mean, okay, so he's gotten open on double moves. I almost say he hasn't shown that because that's not true. The chemistry there, it's not working. Whatever's happening, it's not working. Okay, and MVS has been getting open a couple times, and Mahomes misses him, and Mahomes tries to hit him in some tight coverages. He lets the ball travel. Play gets broken up. I wish I could tell you why the chemistry isn't working, but it's not. It's not a good fit. Whatever's going on, has not been a good fit for the offense. And I wanted them to try to work that out in this game. They've gotten him a couple catches, but at the end of the day, it's not doing enough to move the needle for him in the offense, in my opinion. So it's tough. It's tough. You hope that a player like him can come in and be productive for your offense. He hasn't had a terrible season, but he's been exactly what I figured he would be. He catches about half of his passes, and from there, he doesn't score a ton of touchdowns. It's not great.
I think it was worth the experiment. I don't think the experiment has to continue.
I don't either.
I mean, I think they're going to have other options as well. So I'm not concerned about the future. Great question, Callie. Thank you. Dan, Brother Kenny Creek, cheers to you, buddy. The guys in the band say hello. Do you see any chance that Vic Fangio coming to Kansas City next year? I mean, there's always an outside chance. I think it's pretty minimal, personally. Given that the defense is rounding into shape, if they make a run and they improve again, I don't think Spags is going anywhere. Andy is super loyal. If Spags were to retire, and that's on him, if he chose that, I think they're looking at Cullen as the in-house replacement. I don't know that they want to go outside the fam. I love Fangio's defense, though, and I think it would be cool in Kansas City, but I don't know.
Just get him a top 15 defense. We're talking about multiple Super Bowl titles if you give him a top 15 defense.
Oh, man, that's crazy. Yes, Tyler, Chris is an absolute monster. There is no one like him, including Aaron Donald, anymore. Rams job, yes, Croc. I think I already answered that one.
Yeah.
There are definite possibilities and rumors abound right now. What are your thoughts on the new contract for Chris Jones? But 2024 goes to free agency. I think they have to extend him, Tyler, because he could repeat this performance next season.
I think they might ride it out, honestly.
You think? And just call it quits after that?
No, not quits, but take the chance that he maybe doesn't have this season next year. I don't know. It's a gamble. It's a gamble, and I think that they might be one that they think is worth taking. We'll see.
Yeah. Oh, that's a hard part. Ooh, yeah. Top 15 defense for this team would be incredible, and 20-0 could happen. I mean, there's a whole lot worse things. I'm just going to tell you. Ooh, Lord. Let's see, Mark. With Jared Verse returning to FSU, do you think that there will still be an edge rusher worth the Chiefs first still available? Now, granted, I expect them to pick at 30, 31, or 32. Those are my personal beliefs. I do think there are some guys that are going to be options. I don't know that I'm going to dig them all. Do you think they're going to have a viable option there?
As it stands right now, I don't think so. Especially with Verse not in the draft, that's going to push the guys that I had at around 5 up a little bit higher in the pecking order.
So let's preview. Did you have him in your top 5 before tonight?
I had Jared Verse in my top 5. Yes,
I did too.
I'll tell you right now, I had him at 3.
Oh, did you? Wow. Okay, I like it. And I like that we're a little different. That's great. I had him at 4.
Yeah, I mean, a little different. What's 3 4? I mean, that's not that big of a difference, but
well, it might be the difference in 8 picks on draft day. So
yeah, that's very true. So yeah, it's gonna change some things, but yeah, I personally don't think it's gonna be a defensive end in first round at this point. We'll see how the draft process unfolds. Guys fall. Trent McDuffie fell. I had him as a top 2 corner last year. Top 3 corner, excuse me. Things get different. Like, you never really know. So, gotta wait and see.
Yeah, I don't know. Oof, man. Oof. I look forward to next year when he'll be available.
It's a hit, though. It's a hit, though.
How many sacks does Joe's end up with? 15.5 is what he is currently at. Now, obviously, there'll be postseason stats as well, but for the regular season. No, could we see them run Simon Schwartz in the postseason run? No.
He's never playing another snap of football. He's done.
No, and if you were able to ask Mitch that direct question, I think he would tell you the truth that he's
pretty
not.
Sure he's already kind of answered all those.
And he's hinted it all the way around. He just hasn't said the word "No, I'm never playing again."
Yeah, I don't think he's actually come out and retired yet. But
yeah, exactly. But he is still, as I understand, he's still recovering, still working on strengthening and everything from his back issue. He's moved into the media world. He just put something out as a post game on NFL on 33rd Team, which is a cool site as well. Might have something coming up with them on Locked On and 33rd Team, so be aware for that. What will they next week look like for light practice to rest? I do believe if they follow the old program, Andy, they'll come in for treatment tomorrow. They'll be off until Thursday, I believe. Because they played on Saturday, they'll probably practice Thursday morning. I think I said Thursday afternoon before, but I think it'll be Thursday morning. At least that's just an estimation. Anyway, Pat doesn't get MVP. I can't see it.
No, he's the man. He's the MVP of the league, and that's we thought it was earlier, even with the race with Jalen Hurts, and the injury to him took him out. And Patrick is the only man left, unless you think Justin Jefferson breaks Calvin Johnson's record this week, and has more votes than a quarterback.
Yeah. I can't see it. Good question here, though. Thanks, Casey. How much is Chris Jones' contract now?
Well, I'll show you. Well, it doesn't really matter what it is, but this is what's going to happen. Imagine this is a very small piece of paper, a much smaller checkbook, if you will. Chris Jones is going to walk into the office, and Brett is going to do this.
Hey.
What's the number?
What you need?
Oh, okay. All right. Done.
You sure you don't want another zero with that? You sure?
You tell me. You tell me. Take it.
I mean, what is he right now? He is $29 million against the cap right now this year.
Okay,
that's a lot. It's a roster bonus. Like they did the whole roster bonus thing. I got to think.
What was his average? 18.
Let me look at it. I that seems about right. Let me pull that up real quick. It was 60 guaranteed. That's what matters to players the most. And it was guaranteed at sign was 37. Average salary was right at 20.
Okay.
20 even.
So let's say 23 and a half.
I can live with that. And I think the rest of the cap can as well.
Yeah. And you're going to get a good chunk of that guaranteed because, you want Chris to be happy. You don't want him being upset with it. But yeah, you want to, whatever you want, man.
Here you go. Can we give you some dessert with that? Could we see Chanel possibly working as a speed rush DE option? No, because Chanel is not a speed rusher. If he rushed at all, it's not going to be speed. He does not come off especially a 3-point stance that quickly. I love him as a blitzer, though, from 3 yards deep. We haven't seen that enough. I saw Nick go a couple times tonight. I think I saw Willie twice. Did you see Chanel go at all?
Not blitz. No, I didn't see.
Okay. All right. I didn't either. Do you think he can come off the edge as a speed guy?
I don't know necessarily a speed, but I think he has an athletic acumen to playing defensive end that he is not going to get in this defense.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they got to do something because, again, he's a 3rd-round pick. You can't. I don't know how you justify a 3rd-round pick as a Sam. I don't know how you can justify it because he doesn't play very much in this league. And unless you're talking about next year, maybe him getting more green dot responsibilities for coverage, like that's the only other segue to this not being a waste of a pick, in my personal opinion, as a Sam linebacker. If that's going to be his career trajectory, it's a waste of a pick.
I'll tell you this: if Spags does retire, they go to 3-4. He's an inside linebacker with Nick Bolton. Willie goes to the outside.
Yeah,
that's what I see happening.
I could see him as an outside linebacker too, but
you think?
I could. Yeah. I do think that the way that he played at Wisconsin can lend itself to that style of outside linebacker, defensive end, whatever you want to call it. He does have some short area and cornering ability, but again, that's based off of very small sample sizes.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, we're going to have a couple more folks. We're at an hour 20. I totally missed that.
600 of you in here. Thank you so much.
And I can hear the family upstairs getting ready for dinner. So it's coming down to the wire here for me. Are you surprised that Bolton broke DJ's record in his second year? I am a little bit.
A little bit.
Now we have to take into account it was an extra game as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, like I expected him to get to that point, specifically tackles. But I didn't think second year. I thought maybe by the end of his rookie contract. But yeah, no, he continues to be ahead of the schedule for what I expected of him.
Yeah, and that's great. And I also think that the way that, again, this year, this defense, I believe, has been designed to funnel things to the middle of the field. And that has helped him a lot. But again, being able to make the tackles and do it at a high level, which Nick Bolton has shown he's been able to do, you can't really ask for much else. Leading the league in tackles in your second year, that's a pretty impressive feat, regardless of how important you think tackle totals are.
Yeah. Great question, Casey. What do you think the ceiling or comparison is for a guy like Karlaftis? I think Karlaftis can be a 10 to 12 sack guy at his premium. I mean, what's he at now? 7.5?
I think he's at 6.
Oh, is he? Okay. Sorry.
He had 5.5 coming into the game, and he got the half sack today, so he's at 6.
Okay. As far as a comparison, like I don't know anybody specific that really reminds me of him. That's currently playing. I mean, does anybody stand out to you, Dan?
Not really. Again, because right now he's still raw in terms of pass rush moves. He hasn't won based off of, in my personal opinion, he doesn't win a ton based off of his pass rush moves. It's more about his effort and grinding out some of these pass rushes, which is fine for a rookie. If he can get handwork down, I do believe 12 is probably the max that we'll see from him. I think more around 9-10 is where you could see him at the most, especially the way that this defense operates. But it's tough, especially with him playing inside on pass rush downs, on specific pass rush downs. It does prevent him from getting around, but that also is a little bit more because of the player that he is. So we'll see next year. I think that'll give me a much better idea of what he can be. This year didn't, in my opinion, didn't show me enough of what I didn't already think he was.
I've been impressed he's been able to sustain. He played through rookie wall, probably better than any of the other rookies, to tell you the truth. He's still got his first step, his power, and his motor.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great start. Whatever he can add is going to be great. Thank you for saying this, Bill. Appreciate you. If you guys would hit the thumbs up. And if you're not one of our members, you want into the Discord, that's the way you do it. You can get signed up under Dan. There's a join button. And if not, just become a sub, because we got a lot more going. And now we have a postseason run to get into.
Let's go.
Kind of fun. Ooh, I'm ready for it. We got KC's, Oregon's still thinking of adding another monster DT, or if Wharton comes back, would take Jones to another level. I agree with you, but I'll tell you this too. I'd rather invest in edges and let George be the other 3-tech inside on passing downs.
I'm with you.
I think that plays into his skill set as well. They got to get some speed rush. I think what you saw tonight, it was Chris Jones as the speed rusher that flushed him to Karlaftis at one point. So you still have to have that aspect. So you either have to penetrate the A gaps or you got to be a speed rusher. And that's what they're missing a little bit.
Yep.
But what is it? 23 more sacks than they had last year as a unit?
Yeah.
I mean, hey, you play better as a team. You play better as a team. That gets you wins. I can live with it. Do we still go after our number one receiver in the draft or free agency this offseason? I do think so, because I don't think MVS is coming back.
A number one receiver? I don't think so.
No? Okay. So you think they have a guy that can function as their number one right now?
I do. I think that Juju Smith-Schuster is back next year. That's operating under the assumption that he's back next year. But again, Travis Kelce is the one. Let's not forget that he is the number one receiver. So this is more of a complementary system. If the first round falls the way I think it will, I don't even think that there will be one in the first round for them to take, specifically because I don't think this is the very.
It sounds like the last two wide receiver classes, that's for sure.
It's different. There is like last year was a special group. This year, I don't think anyone is going to do what they've done in this rookie season. You look at Olave, you look at Wilson, you look at Drake London. There's a lot of guys that are doing a lot of really nice things in the NFL as rookies. I don't think that happens next year. I don't know if anyone's ready to be that already right now. Maybe Jackson Smith and Jigba can come in and be that kind of slot mover player for a team. Johnston, maybe we'll see. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I can see that. I like Jason more than most though, so I'm a little taxed there. Let's see, Keaton. What is the cap situation? I'm pulling that up right now. Looks like the Chiefs have contracts at 206. Current cap is going to be adjusted to 223. They can carry over 3. So it looks like they're going to have a little over, by my math, 19 available. That's It's pretty thin.
Yep.
Knowing that you're going to have a sizable group of free agents as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Will they cut Orlando Brown? Thanks, Dan. And they don't have to cut him. He is on a franchise tag, so that is literally a 1-year contract. The question will be, can they extend him, or do they sign him to another, which would be 120% of his current salary as a second franchise tag, or do they draft his replacement? Those are going to be the 3 options I see.
Might be slim pickings at tackle.
Might be. Although I have to say, I feel better about first round tackles than I did 2 months ago. I don't think there's a ton of depth, but I think at the end of the first, there still might be a guy or two I can live with as an investment.
Okay.
Hardman and Sky are going to be ready in 2 weeks. Yes, Mike, I think they could both have played today if they had to.
Yeah, I agree.
Skip, thank you, sir. Is Kelce up for a contract? I don't think so. He's got 2 more because they reworked it.
Yeah,
right?
I think so. Yeah.
He's under contract through 2025. Yeah. So 3 more. I lied. And how much is it going to be worth? He's going to be, let's see, cap hit next year is 14, 15 and a half after that, and 20 in 2025. So I bet you they'll do something else because I do think he's got to play till 26 or 27 to catch up to Tony.
Yeah. I think he's going to play I still think he's going to play for a while.
Yeah.
We'll see how his body handles it, but I do think that he's aiming for that right now, especially with what I've heard from his podcast, that he's already thought about what he would have to do to get there. So this is something that he's planned for. The Chiefs have planned for with the way they've used him. So yeah, I
agree. Aaron Donald got 31.9 average. Could Chris get that or more?
No.
Des, I really don't think so.
Don't think so.
And I think that average is a little bit tweaked by the bonus structure and that kind of stuff. I don't know. I haven't looked at it specifically, but I don't know. Can Chris get 25? I think so. I just don't know. It's not just about what he's worth. It's about what the Chiefs can afford to spend. And I just don't know that they can go above that. Casey, can you guys explain the advantage and disadvantage of the 4-3 versus the 3-4? And do you feel like the Chiefs should convert to the offseason based on the tape you've seen so far? Sure. You want to hit the basics?
Well, I don't even know if there's like advantages or disadvantages. It's based around how you utilize your players. And specifically, if you're going to run a 4-3, the way that Spags runs it, this is how he gets the most out of it. The problem becomes you can still run a 4-3 with speed guys off the edge. So if you run it this way, what Spags does, the advantages are you do get more funneling to your safeties, which is what you're trying to do. If you have athletic speed guys, you can make plays on footballs in the middle of the field. If you don't have a speed rush, you have to blitz off the edge, and you see all the creativity that he's having to use to get more blitzes. The 3-4, you have 3 down linemen and then 2 outside linebackers. You can get a little bit more speed off the edge because they're really more of a wide 9. When you say wide 9, that means just wider to the tackle's left shoulder, or right shoulder, depending on where they're lined up. So I'm not an expert in terms of safety, corner, linebacker support off of that. So I'll turn it over to Ryan for the rest of this.
The basics, you covered it fine. The overall gist is you're shifting your front seven, and it really is considered as a seven, from more power-based, a little bit slower, to better athletes, better quicks, better speed to the quarterback and into coverage, because you're technically playing 4 linebackers.
Mhm.
And so on first and second down, you're getting those guys to drop. But here's the rub. Most 3-4 teams, on third down, they go to a 4-man front anyway.
Yeah, they play nickel. So yeah.
Yeah, it's the hybrid nature of the game today that kind of throws that off a little bit. But here's what you have to have. You have to have bigger, bulkier, stronger, better anchor 5 techs that go head up on the tackles, and you have to have a true nose no matter what. Chiefs have some of those aspects in reserve right now, playing in different roles in Brandon Williams and Danny Shelton. Now, they're both a little bit older, so you can't really project that for very long, but that's there. You also have to have the speed off the edge, and that's what I was just talking about, how if you put Chanel inside in a 3-4 with Nick Bolton, you have your 2 thumpers that take the B gaps and can manage that take on guards, right? Both those guys are capable. But then you have to have the speed on the outside. Willie could be one, and then you draft a guy like Nolan Smith from Georgia, who is a great speed rusher in my opinion, but he has to play in a 3-4. So it narrows your options a little bit. That's all said and done. It can happen, but I think that there's possibility here. I think that they're kind of drifting that way. George could play a 5 technique in base and then go inside to a 3 tech in pass rushing situations. I think they'd be happy with that. It's similar to what they've been doing when they put him inside and reduce him. That's the technical term. That's what they're doing now. So I think that's a little bit of an experimentation and a look at what maybe the future could be. The question is, do they want to play 3-4 scheme? Because 3-4 scheme has some other deficits. It's easier to get run on because you only have 3 linemen. Quite frankly, the Chiefs' run fits over the last 5 years have not been great anyway. So I don't know there's a huge deficit there. It changes some of the rotations, and it does make it a little bit harder to shift into dime, and that is something that Spags really likes to do. So I think it comes back to the coordinator. If Spags is there, I don't think that they do it. If they did, it would require someone else calling the shots. So they have a guy in-house who's done that very successfully with the 3-4 in Colin. I just don't know if they're ready to pull the trigger there, or if it's a respecting and they're just waiting for Steve to make his decision. Maybe he wants to coach 2 more years and then they do it. I have no idea. But athletically, I think knowing how much this team puts stock in being athletic, I think that could be a road that they're willing to go down. Honestly, that's what made Justin Houston so good, because Justin Houston came from a 3-4 Georgia. He was able to make that transition play in space, but then he actually got stronger, and he used that lower end of his to get more bend. That's why he was able to play both, and he stayed on the field both as a 3-4 outside, and then he played the D end in the 4-man. So I love that concept, and I like having better athletes on the field myself.
I'm with you. Sorry about that, guys. My camera was all funky.
Hey, stuff happens, man. Is there a play with Chanel? There was a play with Chanel at the weak side linebacker and Willie at Sam. Not sure if Chanel was rushing, but he did engage the right guard. Yeah, I mean, Chanel's great. If you watch his Wisconsin tape, he lived in the A and B gaps. Like they would run stunts with him. He would sugar one side, come into the next gap. He'd run little tight linebacker around D tackle stunts. Like he did all kinds of stuff. That's his bread and butter. And I think that's, again, like if they can get him on a 3-4 inside linebacker, they can do those kind of things with him. And now you take a 3-man main front and you pepper in another linebacker that has pass rush skills inside. And all of a sudden you're sending 4 when they're only expecting 3 most times. You can play more games with your outside guys that are better athletes as well.
Yep.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Tristan. Appreciate you guys for all the support. I didn't see anything, Tristan. I'll go back and look, because if you had a question, I want to make sure I answer it. Dylan, thank you. Which of these rookies will continue to rise, and which do you believe will regress next season?
All right. That's actually a really good question, Dylan. I think right now we're seeing George Karlaftis rise. I think we might see a little bit of a sophomore slump early for him, having to adjust his game again. So
without Frank, he's going to get more attention.
Yeah, and he's going to be, especially if they don't get like a legit guy, he's going to be the number 1 defensive end. So you'll see typically the best offensive lineman, best tackle for them. So you might see a drop in production from him. But I'm going to say that the guy we're probably going to see drop off. Let's just say it. We're going to stick with George Kalafdis. I think that the corners are going to be better, but I do think George is going to be the number one guy next year. So I'll stick with him, and I think Sky Moore will rise better. We'll go higher than he played this year.
I think the guy we're going to see the biggest leap from is going to be Josh Williams, to tell you the truth, because he's taking his lumps now. And I think once he gets the mental side of this down and adjusts a little bit more, I think he's going to be in a good spot to take a step forward, maybe a big one. Josh Downs isn't a number one, but he's going to be impactful. I agree with you, Avery. Yep. And I'm glad that you bring him up. He is, where is he right now on my list? He's in there. He's in my top 10 easily. He's a little bit higher than that, actually.
I'm about to say I'm leaning towards him being in my top 5. I'm very close. I think that he's actually, no, I'm not leaning. He is in my top 5.
Is he? Downs okay.
I love Josh Downs.
Okay, rock and roll. Yeah, I like what he brings. I'm a little bit more intrigued by 2 X's that are in front of him for me.
Yeah,
but I haven't done wide receiver film yet. This is all from live ball game watching and whatever. So I have not done film on any wide receiver yet. Thank you, Avery. Though I trust your opinion, I appreciate that. And give me a shout for what we talked about too. Right. It is draft season now. It should be noted that 19 we have doesn't include 20 million that we would free up from releasing Clark. No, that is not true. Britton, they reworked his contract down to 13 this year. I don't think he has anything left. They will not get any relief from Frank. I will check that while Dan talks about the next one, though.
Thank you for the question, Jerome. Whatever happened to Odell Beckham Jr.? Would you pick him up in the playoffs if he's healthy? So OBJ is currently experiencing the Jerry Jones effect. He said that he didn't think that he was ready to play, and every agent and team said, okay, we're done. We don't want anything to do with him. That's pretty much what has happened and all. And we've kind of heard reports that he's not going to test anything until free agency. So he's not going to be doing anything. He's not going to be playing this season. He's not going to play in the postseason at all, not until next year.
Yeah, Britton, I just checked out Frank's contract. Because of the way they structured it, he's 20.5 million in base next year. They have 9 million dead cap when they release him in the offseason. He's not going to give you anything back. He's going to cost you 9 against the cap. So that calculation, I think, I don't know. I have to play with that and see if that's already in there, but I don't think you're going to get much relief from that. Might get a few million, though, when you do all the math. Bonus versus signing bonus is 7.5, basically. So there's a 14 mil difference in there. When that's all said and done, you might get a little bit back. It looks like he's on the books for 30 with 10 to dead cap. Yeah. But that's not counting the bonus structure and what it does against the bottom line. I prefer Spot Track just because I think it's easier to navigate, but I do think that Over the Cap does better calculations. So, Britton, there's a way that you can do it on both sides and go like project to next season and make those cuts and do the moves. Check that out and let me know what you find, because maybe I'm wrong. Whatever happened to Odell Beckham Jr., and should we pick him up for the playoffs? I don't think that he's healthy. I think at first Jerry Jones was trying to like say that out loud so that other teams would go away. And then there was a rumor they were going to come back around to him. Nobody has.
No.
So I just don't think he's ready.
I'm with you.
It could be next year, but I don't think he is yet. Let's see. Okay, we're going to wrap it up here, folks. I think that is my last question on the board. I'm going to run through them. Any last call for questions or super chats, hit them right now, and we will get there. See, Casey thought that was a good question. I agree. And Tyler said that we don't need them, and that's fair. Honestly, that it's hard to find. Hard to find reps for him right now. That's true. Let's see. Hey, Ryan, do the Chiefs try to trade for DeForest Buckner or sign Montez Sweat or Deron Payne? Now, those are two guys in Sweat and Payne that if they do indeed hit free agency, I think the Chiefs will take a look at them.
Absolutely. 100%.
I don't think they're going to get gargantuan contracts. I think they'll both get good ones, but I wouldn't call them like anywhere near like top 3 at their positions. Am I underestimating them?
I don't think so. I think Sweat might get a little more because of the year he's had. But again, it's 1 year of production and really good play. So we'll have to kind of see. And if the free agency market starts for edges, Sweat could command a lot. Could.
Okay. All right. I don't see a trade for Buckner.
I know, sure.
I think because mostly, I think Indianapolis has to do everything they can to get a quarterback. I don't know. I think they could be in the Tom Brady thing too. I think Chris Ballard's going to be really looking to try to shore up the offensive side. I don't know that he's going to give away Buckner, even for a ton of picks. I could be wrong, but if I knew everything that Chris Ballard was going to do, I'd be working for the Colts. Let's see. There was another question. I think I didn't highlight it yet. About cutting MVS. I'm looking at Spot Track right now, and the out right now is after 1 year, it'd be a $4 million dead cap hit.
Yeah,
that's what I'm basing my thought that they're probably going to move on from it.
I agree. It's a drop in the bucket. That's nothing
comparatively. Yeah, it's absolutely. Let's see. Last couple questions. Here we go. Thank you all for being here. Where are we? We got Tristan. We got Britton. We got Jerome. How much it would cost to pry Jeremy Tunsil away? I don't know. I have a friend down there that works very closely with the team that thinks that this might be actually like an open kind of thing.
interesting.
I don't know what's going to happen. I don't. Do you think he can command a 1?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do.
That's really what it comes down to. Because I don't
also do it.
Would you? Okay.
Do it.
Especially if it's a pick in the 30s. I can completely agree with that. I don't think he can demand a first and a second. Maybe a first and a third is about as high as I could see it going. But desperation. It takes one team to be really desperate for a left tackle.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have shown that they're not that team, because they will put up with Orlando Brown being Orlando Brown for a long time and not be desperate to change that. So I can't see them making a real push. But for what I understand, there might be multiple teams that are interested, and that may cause the Houston Texans to think about doing it. I don't know if they actually do. I don't know Nick Caserio very well, or anyone who's worked with him to have a good idea. And honestly, that's what it takes. You're never going to know until you know.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to wrap up the last couple. Thank you, Miss Holly, our last super chatter. Appreciate you,
Holly.
No question, just popping in. Haven't been around much because I'm dealing with some health issues. I wanted to say appreciate y'all. Well, I hope that you get to feeling better.
Feeling better, Holly.
I hope the holidays were good to you, and that January and playoff football will help as well.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for all your support. Scuba Steve, what do you guys think about people saying that the Chiefs didn't earn the 1 seed? I think they're crazy. And I think they support other teams, and it's okay to be disappointed in the other teams not having it. But again, if everybody who feels the Cincinnati Bengals were about to beat the Bills last week before the Hamlin injury, Chiefs were going to be the number 1 seed anyway.
Yeah,
So,
I'm with you.
by the way, I do totally get the Cincinnati Bengals themselves and the Bengals fans being pissed off about the whole division lead thing with the Ravens. That's ridiculous. And that's honestly why I didn't even address it on NFL 33 this week. It's like, it's a little heinous, I got to tell you. Would you guys rather see prime Barry Sanders or Patrick Mahomes? Patrick Mahomes is the better player.
Yeah,
Patrick. But I love Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
Barry Sanders is my number 2 running back of all time.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Patrick's probably going to be my number 1 quarterback of all time. Is this defense? We'll wrap on Oreo's question. Is this defense good enough to win a Super Bowl, Dan?
Yes, right now it is. I believe so.
I agree. I do think it's in the offing, and I don't think it's going to be super pretty. It's going to be dominant, but I do think it is good enough to win a Super Bowl with them. And I think Casey agrees because he tipped us one more time. Thank you, Casey. Appreciate you. For everybody, it's been a fun Saturday night. We still got another day to relax. Watch those ball games tomorrow. We have a treat coming for you next week. I'm going to do some special streams that I think you guys will dig.
Yeah.
I will at least be live for some of the wild card games.
Yes, sir.
Listen to us react live, and we'll try to bring everybody in that we can get on board. So just be prepared for that. We have normal stuff. Q&A is tomorrow night. We will have some of our shorts. We will have film review, and I'm looking pretty forward to it. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for all of your support tonight. Enjoy the Discord. If you're in there, I'm sure there'll be some hot discussion tonight as well.
Yes.
And I'm going to go watch the end of this ball game. Have a good one. Thank you, Dan, and hug the little one for me.
Of course. I'll have a great rest of your night. Enjoy this. get a week off to not stress about football, and then right back at it. I also have a surprise for you guys that's going to be coming within the next couple of weeks. I'm excited about it. So I look forward to that.
Rock and roll. Have a good night, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow.